Well, welcome back to the discussion of I Am True to My Lord, a poem by Meera. She actually composed her poems in regional language, and this particular poem, I Am True to My Lord, has been translated into English by an Englishman. As I said in the previous session, this poetry belongs to Bhakti movement or Bhakti literature. So, before we understand and discuss this poem, let's try to understand what were the characteristics of Bhakti movement or Bhakti poetry. This movement in literature, in society, took place from 1800 to 1700. That means to say at different times, at different places in India. You may remember Vachana literature or this movement, Vachana movement took place in the 12th, 11th and 12th century in Karnataka. In the same way, Dasa Sahitya or other movements in other regions took place at a different point of time. So this Bhakti movement was a spiritual movement, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಚಳುವಳಿಯಾಗಿತ್ತಿದು. That upheld the path of salvation through personal relationship of love, devotion and surrender to a particular God. So according to the belief of this Bhakti movement, persons, they aimed at ಅಚೀವಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲ್ವೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮುಕ್ತಿ. ಸೊ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಪಡೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ದಾರಿಗಳು. ಒಂದು ಕರ್ಮ ಮಾರ್ಗ, ಅದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಈಸ್ ವರ್ಷಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಭಕ್ತಿಯ ಮಾರ್ಗ, ಇದು ಎರಡನೇದು. ಸೊ ಈ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಈ ಮೂಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಚಳವಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಂಥ ನಂಬಿದಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನೇ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯ ಮಾರ್ಗವಾಗಿ ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಬೈ agreeing to their love to a particular God. ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಅವರು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್, ಇನ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ, began in South India and then spread to other parts of India. Another characteristic of this poetry or literature is that the Bhakti poetry was composed in regional languages, because imagine, remember, Vachana literature in Kannada is composed in Kannada. Meerabai's songs are composed in Rajasthani or Hindi language. So in the same way, whenever this Bhakti movement took place in other parts of North India and South India, they are composed in regional languages, local languages. So let's understand some more characteristics of Bhakti movement or Bhakti poetry. They believed the unity of God, or to become one with God. That was their aim. To become one with God was their aim. So God could be anybody. I mean to say, names were different for the God, but the idea was to unite with God. So they showed bhakti, that is devotion. Devotion is bhakti. Intense love and devotion, only way of salvation. So ಮುಕ್ತಿಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಭಕ್ತಿಯ ಮಾರ್ಗವನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಿಸಿದಂಥವರು. They used their God's name repeatedly, repetition of the true name, be it Govinda, Govinda or ಚನ್ನಮಲ್ಲಿಕಾರ್ಜುನ, ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ. ಅಕ್ಕ ಮಹಾದೇವಿಯವರು ಏನು ಇದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಚನ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಲೈಫ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮೀರಾಬಾಯಿಯ ಥರ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಇದೆ. ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಮನೆಯ ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯ ಸಮಾಜದ ಕಟ್ಟಳೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮೀರಿ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತಾವು ಭಕ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಚನ್ನಮಲ್ಲಿಕಾರ್ಜುನನಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿದರು. ಈ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಕವಿತೆ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಮೀರಾಬಾಯಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅಕ್ಕಮಹಾದೇವಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ವಚನಕಾರ್ತಿ ಅಥವಾ ಕವಿಯತ್ರಿ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಡಿವೈನ್ ಹಸ್ಬೆಂಡ್ ಅವರಿಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಭಾಳ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಟ್ಟಂಥವ್ರು. ಈ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಭೌತಿಕವಾದ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗಂಡನಿಗಿಂತ ದೇವರನ್ನೇ ತಮ್ಮ ಗಂಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಪೂಜಿಸಿ ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸಿ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಾಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು ಇವರು. ಸೊ ದೇ ಸರೆಂಡರ್ಡ್ ದೆಮ್ಸೆಲ್ವ್ಸ್ ಟು ಎನಿ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗಾಡ್ಸ್. They condemned, they rejected rituals like sati in the case of Mirabai, ceremonies, any crowning or marital and so on, or even they fought against blind faith. They rejected idol worship and they were open-minded in religious matters. They did not care the caste, high or low. They also worked or believed in the guidance of a guru, like Akkamadevi. She also had a guru, Allama Prabhu, probably. Meerabai had a guru, Ramdas, I think. Therefore, they had a guru sometimes for guidance, and they longed to be united with their personal God in the name of divine union. ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕವಾಗಿ ಒಂದಾಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಟ್ಟರು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜಸ್ ದೇ ಸ್ಯಾಂಗ್, ದೇ ಪ್ರೀಚ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ರೋಟ್. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ reading Mirabai's poem, I am true to my Lord. Try to understand who is her Lord. No, neither her father nor her husband or anybody. No. She says, Lord Krishna is my Lord. So I am true in the sense I am completely dedicated to Lord Krishna and nobody else. So she begins her poem, or this bhajan begins with the same idea. I am true to my Lord. Oh, my companions. Companions here means friends. There is nothing to be ashamed of now, since I have been seen dancing openly. So, firstly she says, I am completely dedicated to Lord Krishna. And she also says, I am not afraid of this. In a society where women were treated inferior and limited to private spaces, she comes out of society, family, and sings and dances openly in the public without any shame. ಯಾವುದೇ ಅಸಹ್ಯ ಅಥವಾ ಹಿಂಜರಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಅವರು ಕೃಷ್ಣನಿಗೆ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತಾವು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಹಿಂಜರಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾಚಿಕೆ ಈ ಥರದ್ದು ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಶಿ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಶಿ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಶೇಮ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಂಗಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಗಾಡ್ ಓಪನ್ಲಿ. ಶಿ ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಓಪನ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಟು ವಿಮೆನ್ ದೋಸ್ ಡೇಸ್. Let's continue reading the poem. She says, in the day I have no hunger, at night I am restless and cannot sleep. Leaving these troubles behind, I go to the other side. A hidden knowledge has taken hold of me. She describes what happens to her, this physical world and in the world of mysticism. She is caught between two worlds. In the physical world, one should have hunger and sleep. But she says, no, even though I am living in this physical world, I don't feel hungry or sleepy, which indicates her thirst for the divine. ದೇವರು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದಂಥ ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಕಡೆನೇ, ಆ ಲೋಕದ ಕಡೆನೇ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಲವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. Therefore, she ignores the physical world and worldly troubles and transforms herself into the spiritual world. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಈ ಭೌತಿಕ ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆದರೂ ಅವು ತೊಂದರೆ ಅನಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಈ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ, ಡಿವೈನ್ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಹಿಡನ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಈಸ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್. ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಲೋಕ, ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಅನುಭವ ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜಗತ್ತು. So she realizes and says, this is the truth of life. What is the truth of life? Mysticism. To be one with God, to achieve salvation through the way of Bhakti is the truth according to her and for her. So she treated Lord Krishna as her divine husband. My relations surround me like bees, like honey bees or any other type of bees. My relations, relatives, they come and surround me. Now maybe their motives are different, probably to take some wealth from her, but for her, no, they are a kind of trouble. They say Mira is ours, but for Mira, see what she feels. My relations surround me like bees, but Mira is the servant of her beloved Giridhar, and she cares nothing that people mock her. So the meaning of these lines are discussed here. Many of her relatives try to limit her to the familial and worldly duties, and they also try to claim her for the royal benefits. But Meera declares that she is nobody's servant, she is nobody's wife, she is nobody's daughter, but she is the servant of Lord Krishna. This shows her devotion to beloved Giridhar. Here Giridhar means again another name for Lord Krishna. She also says, I don't care if people make fun of me, criticize me. So this is how she has gone into a different world, leaving this physical world where there are troubles. This is how she expresses her devotion to Lord Krishna. Fine. These are the things we discussed in this session today. That Mirabai belonged to Bhakti movement that believed in salvation through Bhakti, devotion to a God. She expresses her divine love to Lord Krishna in this poem. She sang bhajans in praise of Krishna and danced in the open space, and she was not ashamed of it. She was in search of true knowledge, that is mystic knowledge, mystic world, and she sought to unite with God. She rejected the worldly pleasures and flouted constraints of society, religion, family, and gender. Even if people made fun of her, she did not care. So that's all, friends. See you in next class.